hosted by Andy Moss. Andy has been in the staffing industry for over 25 years, first as a recruiter, then eventually an account manager and business owner. This is the podcast where we sit down with fellow staffing owners to get the real stories of the successes, the failures, and the lessons learned along the way.
I'd like to welcome everybody back to Staffing Stories. I'm your host, Andy Moss, and got a wonderful guest today, Mr. Chris Soon, and he is from the great state of Omaha, Nebraska. So
thanks, Andy.
I think that's where every medical recruiting is at. I think it's just the mecca.
There are a lot of us. I can't keep track. I feel like every time I hear a number, it jumps 10.
Yeah, well, Omaha. That's what we hear from Peyton Manning all the time when he was in Tennessee. So, but I'm glad to have you as a guest and appreciate you wanting to come on and introduce yourself to any of our listeners.
Thanks, Sandy. I appreciate getting to be on. I'm Chris Soon. I'm president of Uniti Med. We are a healthcare staffing primarily focused in the travel sector. We do hospital nursing. We have multiple allied divisions specialized in therapy, lab, radiology, cardiopulmonary, and cath lab. And we also work in the long-term care and home health space as well.
Okay. One of the things I was researching about you and your kind of mission is more of the outlying hospitals, not just the ones that are in major cities, but more communities that are underserved for the health. Did that just happen? Walk me through that.
That's a good question. As far as does it just happen? A little bit. I mean, rural communities, especially well before the pandemic, we saw a surge across the nation, but rural hospitals and healthcare facilities always struggle with staff.
Yeah.
It's just harder when you're in a community of 800 people and you lose an ER nurse or somebody that works in your lab. You can try all you want to hire somebody, but there's not necessarily another person in that town or even 30 minutes, an hour away to grab that position.
Yeah.
And so I live in a small town. I don't live here in Omaha. I live in a small town. My wife works at that hospital. And so for us, it is a little bit personal. A lot of our employees have grown up also in these small towns in the Midwest. And you realize how important healthcare is. You don't go there unless you need to, right? And it's at those times you want somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, you don't want the worst of the worst in some of these smaller communities. You may have to have better. I mean, not a jack of all trades in medical, but I mean someone that can reach into multi-disciplines.
Yes, you definitely do. You don't want somebody that's just getting started and hasn't done it much. You want somebody that can hit the ground running and that you feel confident putting somebody's life in their hands.
So let's reel it back a little bit. When you started, how did you get into the recruiting and staffing industry?
Great question. I was in a completely different type of industries and lifestyle, and a friend of mine who I often try to get to come over and work for me in different times. I've been in sales, told me I should get into this. And I honestly turned the guy down multiple times for an interview and finally said, it's an hour of your life that it won't be that big of a deal when you sit down. And I went in and interviewed and I learned a lot more. I didn't realize as much as I thought I did about what it really looks like and what the industry does. And once I realized how big of an impact and difference it could make, I went back to my wife. I'm like, you're going to think I'm nuts, but I'm going to quit my career to go be a recruiter. So I started off as a nursing recruiter.
I've had those conversations. It's with three kids in diapers. Oh, honey, I'm going to start a business. That's after I picked myself up off the floor, she agreed to listen to me, but I've been there.
It was scary, but I think there's also a little bit of like a back against the wall mentality of like, you bet on yourself a little, like we will make this work no matter what.
It kind of goes back to that thing you've heard, burn the bridges. I took that approach. Is like, there is no going back because there's no bridge back. So we're going to burn everything behind me and we're going to move forward. That's the only direction we can go. So at Uniti Med, I mean, you are really passionate about leadership, development of others, investing in their careers. Is that something that's always been in your DNA, or kind of why is that your mission?
That's a great question. I can't say that was always in my DNA. I've been lucky to work for really good people, around really good people. And the more I had these great opportunities, the more you realize you spend 2,000 hours a year of your life working, in a company, and those people you surround yourself with really can rub off on you, both positively and negatively, depending on what type of people you hang out with. And I realized more and more that you can chase a lot of things. But for me, I learned when you lean into somebody, you help them, you teach them, you train them, you push them to be the best version of themselves, that almost always comes back to you in the sense of the most sincere appreciation you can get. And so I tell every new hire, like, our goal is 2 years, maybe it's 3 years from here. We're at a holiday party and I meet someone that's important to you at that holiday party. And I hope that at that point you guys come up, and I've really at that already made a pretty big difference in your life, your family's life. And there's, for me, no better reward out there than knowing you made that type of impact or difference.
Do you, as a leader, having special because this topic of developing others, leading others, is something that all of leaders and staffing struggle with, or some are good, some are probably staying behind the camera like, man, what's the secret sauce to that? How can I implement something like this in my business? What would you encourage them to do?
Great question. That's a really good question. There's probably two different approaches, and I'd say it depends on if they've done nothing at all up to this point, and how comfortable they feel with a variety of leadership topics, like I say. And so if you're comfortable, you could lean in and find out, okay, for a leadership team or new managers, what do they need? And you can do one-on-one coaching or a group coaching and make it very specific and relevant to exactly what those hurdles they're facing. Maybe it's having difficult conversations or uncomfortable conversations. And if that's the thing, lean into it. Yep. And the other thing you can do, though, is, and we're currently doing this here, is to pick a book or a topic, lean into that book and break it down to chapters and share either a video or maybe it's a topics each week. And I think a lot of times people think they need to know all the answers, but if you have a good group of leaders, even if they're newer, it's really a lot more about asking questions and hearing the responses and opening up ideas and letting the group share with each other what those best practices can be. And usually from those conversations, you stem, in my opinion, a lot of light bulb moment growth.
Yeah. Well, one thing is like, don't start something you can't finish. I know some, leaders want to we're going to change everything. We're going to do all this. And then it all fizzles out. And, that's just, bad. I've been guilty of that, I will say. So it's like, pick one or two things to implement or to try to change. And a lot of it's changing us and our perspective. And then that should trickle down. That's what I've found has worked for, me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's hard. You wear so many hats and so many things come up. We've started, if I look at the one we're in right now, there's about 20 topics we want to get through. And that we're on topic 6 this week. I know we probably started closer to 10, 11 weeks ago. And there's times we did it and we're like, well, let's do homework. And we get in conversation. We're like, you know what? We have a lot to do this week. We're going to skip, or this comes up. So the reality is it's hard to stay on track no matter what when you're running a place. But
well, you're running a great business. I mean, you've won every award for best places to work from SIA all the way to everything when I was researching it. So kudos to that. You're doing something right. And I think a lot of us deal with attrition. We're losing recruiters about as fast as we can get them. You know, we can't even get them through 6 months, 8 months to even think about promoting them. You know, where are we making mistakes at?
That's a good one. I'll say for us, you know, we've I feel like retention's our strong suit over here. We retain the great people we want to work with. Every once in a while, don't get me wrong, we hire somebody that it's not the right fit. Maybe it's us is not a right fit, or the industry is not a right fit. We spend a tons of time in the interview, the first part of the process. We get, right now, I think I get 20, 25 people a week that apply to want to be a recruiter here. Very blessed to be in that spot. And our corporate recruiter will talk to the ones that she thinks look like it makes sense for us to talk to. Sometimes you get people that apply and you're like, are you just checking this box to say you work somewhere? And so there's that. You get through all that. And then if they make it around, they make a round with me. I don't do a full interview. I really go, is this the caliber or not, before I even send them to a sales leader, because I don't want to waste their time. They're busy enough how it is. By the time it makes it to them, though, I always say, if we're going to hire one person on your team, I'm going to give you 5. These 5 are going to be pretty dang good, and it's going to be really hard. But I want you to walk away going, man, but that one, feel really
go without him,
right?
Yeah.
And I feel we do that because once they come here, I look at them, and I use this analogy a lot as kids, which is wrong to do. But I say you wrap your arms around these employees and you give them everything you got to be successful. Because if you say, oh, they're not doing this or that, I'm going to first look at you as what are you going to do to make it better. Mm-hmm. My own kid did something, horribly awful. I'm not going to kick him to the curb and fire him. I'm not going to send him away. I'm going to do whatever it takes to help them and get them through whatever that may be, because I love them and I care about them. So when we say we're going to hire somebody, we're going to give them that type of attention and care. We're going to do whatever we can to make them the best version and give them what we got.
I love that. Let's change subjects here. Let's talk technology. What's your philosophy on a lot of the tech that's out there? I mean, how does your company evaluate it, bring it on? Do you like some of the things you see out there or not?
Absolutely love technology. I'm hoping you should be embracing technology. What I will say is I'm not looking at a whole bunch of robots working around us. Don't, and I've seen some pretty impressive things. So who knows with the voice AI, but right now I'm not looking for robots. We're trying to change people's lives. With that said, I do want a bunch of Iron Man. And I say that, hopefully most people know who Iron Man is, but Iron Man's a regular person and he uses technology to do some really amazing things. And, in his case, faster, stronger. Same thing I want. Use technology to make you do things, make it easier for the task at hand, make it quicker, or make the task that you're not even doing that task. But the really important stuff, it's your brain, it's your heart in there using that tech. And so we are always looking at what tech is out there that is going to make our team a lot more efficient and able to focus on the stuff that matters, and make the other stuff, leave that to tech.
Yeah, I want my recruiters and salespeople engaging with the human, but whatever I can help bring them to the conversation, or that's what I like. And anytime I invest in the recruiter, it's always the benefit's always up.
Yeah.
A good recruiter is going to affect a great sales rep, and a great sales rep is going to affect the CEO. It's hard going the other way. So, buying something that helps the CEO doesn't necessarily help the recruiter and the flow down. But I build up from that side when I buy tech or evaluate tech or look at it.
Yes.
And it's all expensive these days. And, I was asked a question yesterday, is now the time to, invest in technology? And my answer was absolutely. You can really get some good deals right now because, there's never a time you don't. You always look, you always window shop because you don't know what's out there.
100%. You said it best. There's smart time to be looking, evaluating. And once again, if you're looking at tech, there's different reasons to look at buying something off the shelf or building. If you're buying some off the shelf, it's hopefully either giving you an efficiency or maybe replacing something at hand.
Yep.
And in those cases, you're likely spending money today on doing that task. So it's just a matter of, hey, can technology replace what we're already doing and save us money by using it? So a lot of times, some of the tech we've implemented or recently are signing on even as we speak, it's going to be a cost savings to our company because we're adding it.
So if I had to sit here and ask you what keeps you up at night in the role that you're in, what would your answer be?
Oh, that's a great question.
I'm throwing some good ones at you today.
Yeah. Our main focus is on the experience. Mm-hmm. It really is. And so as much as possible, we want people, when they talk to us, to be like, man, we're going to go above and beyond. But the reality is we're a young company and there are jobs we don't have. And that's what keeps me up at night. What I don't want is to find the most amazing healthcare professional. They're working with us. They love working with us. And they find out they can't go to an area, but we know there's a need there.
Yep.
And so it is a constant, what do we have to do? How do we get it? So when we know there's a hospital need and we have a person that goes there, unfortunately, there's things that sometimes get in the way in between there. So what keeps me at night is those things and figure out how are you going to get through those things so that we can do what we're here to do.
Well, you've shared a lot with us today, and I really appreciate your time. I'll always, in my conversations if you're streaming a show right now, Netflix, Amazon Prime, what's the show on Chris's list?
It's an old one right now, but I think a great one. It's Suits.
It's Suits.
Yes.
I'm a Suits fan as well. You're the first one that said that, and I thought that would be like an overwhelming one in our industry.
Yeah. I ask people all the time because I'll try to do a comparison. Like you watch it, I'm surprised when someone says they haven't.
Yeah.
I stay up way too late watching a show that's been around for a while, but man, I absolutely love that show.
Well, it's I'm glad someone else that has finally said it because I'm a Suits fan. Well, Chris, one. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us on Staffing Stories, and again, thank you and appreciate it.
Andy, it's a pleasure being on Staffing Stories. So love watching. I love listening to all your guests. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into the episode. Staffing Stories is brought to you by 3DIQ. We are the future of staffing sales. Our solutions are designed to supercharge your sales and 3x placements, all without ever leaving Bullhorn. Direct market, deliver talent, and drive sales with our all-in-one tool designed for the modern recruiter. Visit 3diq.com/stories to learn more. Find Staffing Stories on LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.